This is Revolutionizing Recruitment with Kathleen Duffy, the art of attracting, acquiring, and retaining talent. Here's Kathleen.
Thanks for joining me once again for my chat with Ahva Sadeghi, the co-founder and CEO of Symba. We've been talking about Symba's mission to level the playing field for job seekers by removing entry barriers to the workforce and supporting programs designed to close opportunity gaps for underserved populations. Ahva, I want to circle back on something you mentioned, and that is brand awareness for organizations. What do you say to smaller and lesser-known companies on what they can do to attract the next generation of workers?
Well, I would say sometimes, I'm biased because I have a small company. I think that it's sometimes even better for an intern because they can actually have more opportunities and more hands-on attention from the entire team and get the opportunity to wear multiple hats. So what I would say for the smaller teams, just because I can speak to it from my own experience at Symba, is that we've really done a great job of doing fun events, like we do Wednesday wellness events where we have laughter therapy, we do yoga, we do meditation, and it's as simple as putting a YouTube video on. And with the laughter therapy, we took some fun pictures and we put it on our Instagram or on our Twitter, and we do some blog posts about our culture and the work that we do. And we've also done some fun videos as a team where we, to get creative. We've also played around with TikTok a little bit. And one of our TikToks, actually created by one of our interns, had, I think, thousands and thousands of views, and it led to a massive spike in website traffic. So if you are bringing on an intern as a smaller team, I think you should get the intern involved in answering that question and supporting you with the social media brand, because they are so talented and creative and can think outside the box. I've seen that our interns, at least, and some of the research we've done with other teams, interns are open to working at smaller companies and sometimes are really excited about startups. I think the startup culture, too, has seen a lot of really great appeal to the next generation as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I do see that, especially with these younger people, that they really do want to be a part. And full disclosure, so I only just started hiring new college grads in the last year. For many, many years, I felt that a new college grad didn't have enough, of course, they didn't have gray hair at the time, but they just didn't have enough experience, work experience, real world experience to understand what an organization looked like and how to recruit for what's a CFO versus a CMO versus a systems analyst. So this last year, we hired some new college graduates, and you're spot on. They really are knocking it out of the ballpark. And as I'm talking with potential clients about candidates, I'm telling them, start looking at these young people. As a matter of fact, I was actually selling Symba for you yesterday, just to let you know. I was talking with a technology company here in Phoenix, and one of the things that they said is that they need to find these technical folks, and they want new college graduates. And so I said, well, do you guys have an internship program? And she said, no, that's something that we've been thinking about. And so I directed her right to your website. So hopefully they will get in touch with you sooner than later, because they definitely need to get their internship up and running.
Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that, and honestly really flattered and appreciate your support, and happy to hear that you launched your own program as well. And I know it's not easy. I don't know if there were some challenges and roadblocks that you faced, and maybe how many interns did you bring on?
Well, actually, they came on as full-time employees. So we didn't bring them on as interns, but what we did is we created a much more robust training program, as opposed to thinking that somebody needed to come to the organization and bring recruiting experience. What we have found is that it's that creativity that they bring and the different experiences. And I think that gets back to your whole concept about diversity, equity, and inclusion, that in my world, it's really around diversity of thought, and that not everybody has to think like I do, because that may not be the way that the company needs to move forward. And that's been probably pinnacle to our company's growth.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I think for us, we get really excited when we think about when we talk to our investors and we fundraise, we talk about this bigger vision of a model of recruiting that is train to hire, that you are now building a pipeline and giving people experiences and the resources to be successful within their profession. And you can be open-minded, just as you were, to bring on candidates that might not have that same background or maybe not even have a 4-year college degree in the future, but you give them the resources and the opportunity, and companies can ramp up quickly in the future. Because I do think that talent will be a lot more fluid moving forward. I think that people are going to learn skills. I do think that, we're already seeing this with the Great Resignation, but I think it's not that, people are just going to be leaving now. I think that people are going to potentially move around a lot more in the future. So I do think it's really powerful to hear a leader like yourself, an employer, being open to making these leaps and trying new things.
Well, we have to. So one of the things on your website, you talk about, if we want diversity in the workforce to be representative, we must address the creation of workforce pipelines, to what we were just talking about. So tell us a little bit more about how you're educating employers about the importance of this, because it's similar to what we do, but ours are a different type of a pipeline. So I'm curious, what are some of these steps that organizations can take to start building out these workforce pipelines?
Yes, this is something that we're really passionate about, and we have to almost educate a lot before we even sold our product, because a lot of companies were doing this very ad hoc. And so for us, we've created almost like a 9-step plan, and we have a diagnostic that I'd be happy to share afterwards. But basically it is understanding initially what are your hiring targets and forecasting your overall hiring goals, and then taking a step back to thinking about how can we use early talent programs to fill some of those in the future. And I think it does require a lot more strategy and planning. It's not an easy fix, right? It's not, we have a gap right now and we need to fill it. It is, we potentially see that we'll have a gap here and we want to start investing in this talent for the next 3 to 5 years to bring them up to speed and invest in them. So we do work with companies that are larger companies, at least, they host internship programs of a minimum 25, on average around 100, upwards of 1,000 types of interns. So we are actually doing a lot more of educating on how to optimize your program, how to track the ROI, how to ensure that you are doing pulling the right levers to improve your program. And I think as we expand, we'll do a lot more with educating on how to get started from scratch. Because for us right now as a startup, the low-hanging fruit and what is really what the audience we can work closely with right now is the one who does believe in internship programs. However, they need a control system to understand the ROI and how to make it better. So that's been our initial focus today.
Well, and that's good. And I think, there 2 words, more strategy, right? I think right now people are just so desperate that they aren't stepping back and really thinking about how do they make that investment. Are those the kind of conversations that you're helping and educating them on?
Most definitely. Everything went remote. All of a sudden, my co-founder and I, was just the 2 of us. We hadn't been paying ourselves anything, and we got 38 demos inbound. People said, we need Symba now. How do we get Symba now? We've never done a remote internship, and this was around March 2020. And so we launched this entire campaign called #SaveInternships, where we started hosting mini webinars and series to educate employers on, please don't cancel your program. Here's how you can go remote. And it was beyond just our product. It was because we could not obviously service everybody, right? We were just the 2 of us at the time. And we wanted to give resources to employers to make the switch to go remote. And today it's really interesting because back in 2020, it was a Band-Aid solution. They thought, okay, we're going to do this right now and then we'll fix it. And then next year it'll be back in person. Things will go back to normal. And that is not the case. This year, they're going to be hosting another remote program. Some teams are going with hybrid, some teams haven't made the call, and they're realizing that we cannot afford to go ad hoc and just piece it all together this year. Now we need to be strategic. We need to have a best-in-class experience because interns will know. They have gone through online education and they will know the power and the impacts of how successful our online programs are. So companies, I will tell you, are listening up and now investing actual dollars into this today.
Fabulous. How about retention? What are they doing to retain these interns? They've just made this huge investment, right? How do they retain them for more than 18 months?
So we've seen a few different things. We have seen them actually, some teams create new cohort bonds with teams. And so when they're onboarded, they'll put them into groups and they'll have almost like a community, especially for really larger companies. So they'll do these kind of cohort groups and they'll have mentors from different leaders within the organization support this group and begin investing in their success and development and have a clear path for their growth within the next 5 years so they can kind of track where are we headed. Other things that we've seen them do is invest a lot in benefits. That's something that I think has been something that is increased definitely across the board. Pay has gone up, benefits around health insurance, but also benefits like, if you're working from home, a home office stipend, definitely sending a lot of swag and goodies in the mail, things like that. But I do think mentorship is really powerful. I think the research shows how impactful mentorship is for keeping talent within your organization. And so I think we're seeing a lot more organizations have programs where each intern has a hiring manager and a mentor moving forward. So I would really recommend teams who don't have that to reconsider.
I see another business for you.
No. I'm staying focused, laser focused.
No, but I do. I think the mentorship is critical. So, you've had some experience working for Teach for America. And that seems like, it's an organization that really seems to communicate the importance of internships and diverse work experience for children early on. And kind of talking about these early talent programs that you mentioned earlier. But it seems like this Teach for America has the opportunity to really start developing these workforce pipelines of teachers. Can you talk a little bit about that from a Teach for America perspective?
Yes, I can. And I will share it with Teach for America, TFA. I was a campus campaign coordinator. So what I would do, I wasn't actually a teacher. I have been a teacher. I taught English in South Korea for a little bit, but I realized with this program, they're bringing in diverse candidates and students who actually were not studying to become a teacher. So I think it actually brings on some of those points that we talked about earlier when you brought on interns who don't have recruiting experience. That's kind of TFA's model. They want to bring on teachers from different backgrounds who've maybe studied biology, chemistry, and others to join the workforce. And it's a 2-year program, and I really think it's such a powerful opportunity because they also, at the end of the 2 years, you can go and pursue your master's in education, and you get funding and resources for that. My friends who've gone through it have said that it was life-changing for them. And I think there's so many great pipeline development programs, for doctors, for other engineers as well, like boot camps and other schools that are building these types of programs. So I think it's really, really valuable.
I do too. As a matter of fact, I have actually hired, I think, 3 or 4 Teach for America teachers into my organization in the last couple of years, and they certainly have the wherewithal to really handle just about anything. And I think that's also from a recruiting perspective, it's being able to see skills outside, or I shouldn't say skills, but it's really the experiences now that these individuals are bringing to the party as opposed to necessarily skill sets. And I guess that's probably was my biggest learning in the last year in looking at new college graduates. It was their experiences that they brought to the party as opposed to previous recruiting experience.
Yes, I think you nailed it right there. That is so powerful, especially now that I'm hiring. I really am looking for grit. I'm looking for perseverance. I'm looking for someone who I think can think outside the box and build systems or hack things that we're working on to build process, and is really excited to put their heart into everything they do. For engineering, I definitely need someone with the skills, but for sales and, potentially early marketing, I can definitely consider somebody who is willing to be open to learning and really hungry and excited.
Excellent. So as you are building out Symba, what are some of the things that you're doing to encourage and promote a good team culture?
That is a wonderful question and something very close to my heart as we are building out our team. We have created a few different features on the platform that really foster community and engagement. One thing that might seem very simple is that when interns are onboarded and before their internship begins, they can upload their profiles, they can share skills and fun hobbies that they like, whether it's running, dancing, and then they can add fun fact questions about themselves. And they can start to connect with one another across different teams. And this is so powerful for a remote internship program where you might not be meeting people. When I did my first remote internship with State, I did feel kind of isolated. And I knew that there were 10 other interns in the program, but I had never seen them and I had never interacted with them. Besides one conference call. So I didn't even know what they really even look like. So this type of environment is really, really meaningful. And one thing that we're doing is creating opportunities for interns and managers to create coffee chats. So kind of randomly being matched for 15-minute coffee chats on the platform. Also, we launched a social calendar where they can host events and get together. We have interactive live discussion boards and Reddit pages where even alumni can interact with the current interns and give them advice and tips. So those are some of the things that we're currently doing and have a whole list of things we're excited to implement soon too.
Great. Do you have a fun fact question that you're fond of?
For me, it's that I've been on 3 continents in 24 hours.
That is a lot.
How about you?
We just had this the other day with our, we meet on a monthly basis, the whole organization, and we had our lunch and learn. And the question was, if you had a yacht, what would the name be? And oh my goodness, there were some very, very creative answers that were flying through all of that.
I love that.
I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the world's largest pitch competition for edtech startups that Symba won. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I did have the opportunity to watch the pitch, and you did a phenomenal job. And I also saw the video clip where you were announced the winner, but I couldn't see your face. So I would love to know what was going on in your mind when you heard them announce Symba was the first place winner?
Wow, I get goosebumps just thinking about it right now. It was, I think, one of the highlights. We just, it was just such an exciting time, and I know it was COVID, and so I had pleaded with the manager behind the stage to let the team come up, and he had let us come up, and we were all holding hands behind stage. And they announced Symba, and I think it was just such a moment of, I just saw everyone's faces around the team, just pure joy and happiness. It was amazing because I was meeting so many team members for the first time. But it was, I think, such an exciting opportunity and everything coming into fruition, especially because all of our family was streaming in live. They let everyone stream in and vote and participate. So everyone I knew, from family, friends, loved ones, they all were part of it. So it was definitely so life-changing and meaningful. And Mindy Kaling was on stage, so let's not forget that.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's great. So, we shared briefly that I do some work with Seed Spot, and I work with other social venture startups. And I've heard a number of pitches, over the years. Tell me about your strategy to stand out. I mean, this is a really crowded and competitive field that you were pitching to. What was the strategy to stand out?
Well, for us, it's about our beachhead into the market. So we've targeted internship programs. And yes, it is a crowded market when you think about all of HR. But when you think about early talent, training, and management platforms, I feel like we're one of the very first, or the first, internship management solution. And I've read Crossing the Chasm and done a lot of research on staying focused. And I think for us, owning a market and staying laser focused has really been the key to our success. We found a need within an industry that uses spreadsheets, an industry that we are deeply passionate about, and an industry that is growing, and it's very exciting. And so for us, that's really, I think, why we've been able to grow to where we are today. Obviously, the world going remote definitely did power the need for our platform, so we see ourselves as a solution during that time. And then on that stage, we all wore matching blue suits. So we were all in the Symba colors. So, visually making sure that your pitch and your deck and everything are all in order, I think is also very key.
Well, that was one of my questions. I really wanted to know the story behind the coordinating TL outfits. Very striking.
Yes.
So I think you nailed it on the head about staying focused. I have a MBA from the School of Hard Knocks and a PhD from making mistakes. And I would say that one of the mistakes that I definitely learned from was not staying focused and trying to be a few types of recruiting processes to all people. And it definitely didn't work. So I would encourage you to continue on the pathway that you're on, to stay focused, because you will definitely be an even bigger winner in the end.
Yes, that's our strategy, and it's not easy to stay focused because you do want to service everything and you do get excited, but you always got to rein it back in.
Exactly. Especially when you have a team of bright people and there's lots of opportunities out there. So how did you end up using the prize money?
So we use the prize money to bring on new team members, to be invested in customer success and sales and marketing. And those were kind of how we've been able to do it. Our team has been so scrappy. When we went out to fundraise, investors were kind of amazed by how we've reached some of our metrics with a fraction of what startups typically raise. So we've been able to do a lot with very little, but really excited about using really all our funds to grow our team. I think that's the best allocation of resources, is to bring on the right players to join your team.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. I think that's the same thing too. That's what I tell people. So let's provide some advice for our women in college who may not know where to start, just in terms of building a network and looking at opportunities to establish themselves professionally. What advice would you give to somebody starting their career?
I would share that don't be afraid of rejection and failure. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I actually was rejected from the first remote internship that I got. And I emailed them back and I said, I'm going to apply again next year. What should I work on? So getting feedback from them. And they said, Ahva, we created an internship for you. And so they actually accepted me into the program after that email. But I do think it's so important to apply yourself to everything. And the ones that you don't get, ask for feedback and ask why. So when we think about professional careers, that's what I would do. And for professional development, as far as your network, I think that LinkedIn is such an amazing, powerful tool. Also Twitter, I've had some great experiences there. And what I did when I started creating my remote internships for myself is I reached out to people on LinkedIn and who I really admired, who I wanted to fill their role in maybe 20, 30 years. And I would say, I really am impressed by your background. I would love to work for you. Are you open to an informational interview or coffee? And, sharing some tidbits about why you are, interested in the work they do. And people might not reply. People might say no. But if you even have a 1% hit rate, I think that it would be really valuable to get in touch with people because, it doesn't require moving anywhere or driving anywhere, especially if you're doing a virtual coffee. So those would kind of be my two pieces of advice.
Well, good advice. How about on the feedback front? What was the best piece of feedback that you received or advice?
I think it's to improve my questioning and listening skills. And I will say this for more of the sales process because I think I was so excited about sharing all that we have done in the sales process, but learning how to take a step back and actually be a better listener initially and ask the right questions has been transformative for our whole process. So that was really, really great advice that I received.
It's critical advice. Yeah. We use the famous words over here are ask, don't tell.
Yes.
So you've made a commitment to power more than 1 million jobs in the next 5 years. How's that going?
So it's going well as far as our growth and our strategy. This year, we plan to power over 25,000. And after our Series A, we plan to really ramp up a lot of our efforts and continue our growth. We've been seeing some of our contracts and opportunities really expand. One case I'll share with you was a team that had 28 or so interns on our platform, and then they were able to expand the number of interns to over 1,000. And then in the next few years, we plan to do a full global rollout. So it would be closer to 10,000 or so. So very, very, very exciting type of growth, especially when you can scale and use the power of technology and remote work to do so.
Well, outstanding. Well, if anybody's going to do it, it's you and your team, Ahva.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I appreciate it.
Ahva, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I know that there are probably some of our listeners who would love to get in touch with you. What is the best way for them to get in touch with you and to learn more about Symba?
Absolutely. They can learn more about Symba on our website at symba.io, and follow me on LinkedIn. I'm very responsive there and would love to connect. And thank you so much, Kathleen, for having me. I'm truly such a big fan of the work you're doing in recruiting with social entrepreneurs and putting women on boards. I'm a big, big fan.
Thanks, Ahva. It's been great chatting with you.
Thanks so much, Kathleen.
Oh, you're very welcome. Her name is Ahva Sadeghi, and she is the co-founder and CEO of Symba. And that's it for another episode of Revolutionizing Recruitment. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you take a second to subscribe so you automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left us a review so more folks like yourself can discover the show. Until next time, take care.
This has been Revolutionizing Recruitment with Kathleen Duffy. To connect with Kathleen or to learn more about recruitment research, go to duffygroup.com.